Hey, so this is how I put together the design for the graduation cap. I started by using Illustrator and then I placed a square into my work area by pressing shift. That way it was going to be the same size in all sides, and I picked the color. You don't have to pick the colors that you're going to use. I use this because I was going to send it to my friend in order for her to approve it before I started cutting it. Then I placed this hand that she said that she wanted for her cap, and I'm just gonna go ahead and resize it. She ended up changing the color for it to orange, so that's fine. And then I duplicated the square, and I also use my eraser in order to do the third area. I made a circle also by pressing shift. That way it will stay in a circle shape, and I changed the color. I resized the hand as well. I realized that the sun is a little bit big or bigger than what I wanted, so I resized it and center everything. I don't know if you noticed, but there's a little line that comes out when you're moving stuff. That's the center of your work area of your objects. So I duplicated the square again, and then I cut this little line by erasing and then deleting the edges. So I'm gonna go ahead and just move it all around. I duplicate again, and what I do next is reflect it. That way I can move it to the other side and it'll be almost the same. I just gotta like adjust it the way I want it. It kind of looks like French fries a little bit, so I'm gonna fix that in a minute. So I'm gonna go ahead and keep doing this process, duplicating, moving, and rotating. That way it has different angles. So let's continue doing this. I'm gonna add a couple. I don't remember how many the ones that she wanted. So I just played around with it, trying to make it look nice and just follow the way like I think the sun rays will go, if it makes any sense. So once you have it like this, it was bothering me that it was not in the same angle. So I kept going with this one until I got it to the spot that I wanted. Once I have that, I'm gonna go ahead and adjust the width of the top of the sun rays. And I just do this by pressing A, or is the second arrow that is on the program, and just picking one of the points right there. As you can tell, I'm making them wider on top and narrow on the bottom. That way it looks like it's coming out of the sun. And this one is a little bit harder because I gotta follow the same line, so I didn't mess much with it, and I just did this, so now they don't look much as French fries. So once I do that, I'm gonna select them all, and I'm gonna go to Pathfinder. I'm going to slice them all and remove all the extra stuff that is coming out of the cap because we don't need those. Then I'm going to go ahead and select them again, and I'm gonna make them into one piece instead of having everything, so the Cricut doesn't cut all of them. So I'm gonna go ahead and select the text. This is the closest that I think it'll look like the picture she sent me. So I'm gonna do the warp options a little just slightly bent in order to place it. I realized the hand is too big and all the text is not gonna fit, so I decided to reflect it and also resize it. That way I can fit everything that she wanted in here. I duplicated the quisieron, which means they wanted, and I did this just so it has the same angle and so I wouldn't have to do it again. And I just edited the text right here. As you can tell, it takes on the same curve. So I'm gonna go ahead and add all the other text, and I changed the curve for all of them because not all of them had the same one. They kind of, when the curvy is on top and they like drip down, like being less curvy on the bottom, if it makes sense. So the bottom one, the semilla, is not curvy at all. So I'm gonna just place it right here, and then I'm gonna add the little saplings, so the little leaves coming out of here. I'm gonna duplicate and then reflect it. Okay, so now let's do this in the Cricut. I place my image. I saved everything SVG, and I open my design space, I open a new file, and I decided to duplicate every layer because this is the first time I'm doing the cap, and I wasn't sure how to do it properly. I didn't want to have to reload everything again. So I'm gonna go ahead and pick each layer, duplicate it, and then I'm gonna also use, I placed a circle that was 1 inch because that's the size of the button, and I wanted to cut everything around. So I'm going to make sure that everything is matched, that everything is on top of each other, and then I'm going to grab each layer. For example, here the sun and the circle, I'm going to select them. I just want to make sure that every item that I'm selecting are in the same area, that it doesn't cut in a different one. So I'm going to select the sun and the circle, and I'm going to slice it. It looks a little bit slow because my computer was acting slow that day. So I'm going to go ahead. This is the piece that I'm going to keep up, the big piece. And then this one I'm going to unview it. I'm going to block the view. So that way I don't get him confused. I'm just like closing everything that I'm not using at the time. I did do the blue part already, and I'm gonna go ahead and move this at the bottom. The ones that I'm gonna keep, they're all going in the bottom, like the blue and the yellow layer. So I'm just moving everything down. I know the little plants that are not gonna be cut, it's just these big pieces, and I'm gonna go ahead and also make sure that I don't delete any of the extra stuff that I'm going to be using for the circle, because that needs to be cut as well. So I'm just repositioning everything here. I'm going to do the next thing for also the hand. I need to cut that with the same circle. So I just want to make sure to duplicate every layer. And I did do a little cut test before I actually cut everything together, because I didn't want to mess up with the actual paper I was gonna use. So I used a white cardstock something before I cut everything and make sure that it fit in the cap, which it didn't at first because I put the measurements wrong. So I had to do a little trial and error here. You can always do this before you actually start cutting your nice material in it. That way you don't waste materials. But if you don't care about it, then fine, you can just do it. I just didn't want to waste the ones that I was going to use. It's just a good practice for me. So now I'm going to go ahead and slice this hand right here using the same method, duplicating and then selecting the circle in order to get them all right. So here I'm picking these two. I'm not sure why everything else is selected. I'm going to go ahead and slice it. And now I have the slice hand with the circle in the middle. So now I'm going to move it to the bottom as well, because this is the one that I'm actually going to keep. And everything else, I'm just going to start cleaning up my workspace because I don't want to cut it twice. I'm going to start deleting everything that won't go into the cap, and everything that will go and I don't need to do right now, I'll probably hide it in a minute. I'm gonna start picking up these ones that are extras and just getting rid of them, because that's not gonna be in the cap. I gotta make sure that, for example, these little pieces, that they stay, change the color to the actual color I'm gonna be using for the cap. That way it can be cut and I can place it on top of the little button in my cap. So I'm just making sure that I'm keeping and deleting the right stuff. All of these, I don't need to keep them because they're not part of the design. They're just part of the waist slice, whatever was left from that slice job that I did right there. So I'm just gonna go ahead and get rid of them. And this should be it. I deleted that part. I actually needed it, but you know what? I kept the one that was cut from the blue piece. So it was not a big deal. I needed it in order to place all the other little pieces on top. I just, for some reason, I decided to delete it from this, but it's fine. I didn't need it to cut it. So I'm going to go ahead and go and start cutting all the materials. I'm going to make sure that everything is in the right position, the right sizes. And yep, I don't make any changes. The only thing I do here is pick the type of material. I'm gonna use this medium cardstock. I'm gonna pick more my what is it called? My blade. I'm looking at it. My blade is not as sharp as it used to be when I bought the machine. So that's why I do the medium cardstock, and I also pick more. So I'm just gonna be following the steps. I decided to cut the blue one first just to make sure that it's the right size. And once it was good, that means that I can go ahead and cut everything else. So that is it for this video. I hope you found it helpful and that you can make your own caps to either for yourself or to sell or for your friends, your family. I hope you enjoyed this little mini tutorial. Let me know if you would like to see more designs or if you would like to find other ones that I can make. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, give me a like, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.